I'm going to share with you the difference between a person who achieves average results and top achiever results. Now, I want to make sure that we're clear, that I clarify something. All human beings have equal value. So I'm not talking about the value of a person. I'm talking about their results, okay? And would you say that you would rather be making more money in what you're doing right now? Put your hand up if you would rather be making a lot more money right now. Yes. So I'm not talking about the value of a person. I'm talking about the kind of results that they get. The difference between a person who just achieves average results and a person who gets top achiever results, okay? Now, I remember when I first started coaching, I actually worked with 2 agents from the same branch. And one of them was an average person with achieving average results, and another person was one of the top achievers in his branch. And these were the differences that I noticed. And for their own privacy, I've changed their names. So there was Average Andy, and there was Top Achiever Tony, okay? So when I worked with Average Andy, what I found out was he actually had a hang-up about selling himself as an agent to the people around him. So he was actively involved in the community. He was part of a sports club and everything, but he would never dare to tell someone else that he could actually help them sell their house because he felt like that was too pushy. Now, Average Andy was barely just making his mortgage payments. So it was really important that he start to get more listings and sales. So I worked with him to work out what he wanted for himself. You know, he said he wanted to travel, he wanted to do all these things, right? He wanted a bigger house and all that. He wanted to pay off his mortgage. But when I got to the part where we were working on his thoughts, the way he thought about sales, instead of taking that on board, he actually said, oh, you know, actually I don't really need a lot. You know, I'm happy the way I am. You know, fishing keeps me happy, and I guess, you know, it's fine. And what he had chosen to do was, instead of expand, he shrank back into his comfort zone. Top achiever Tony, on the other hand, was different. You know, he said he wanted to make $1 billion. He said he wanted to achieve all these things. And when I gave him things to do, he would just lap it up. He would just like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And he was constantly seeking to expand. And so you probably would already hear some differences in the way they think, act, and behave. Let's look at their mindset. You see, for Average Andy, he was afraid to stand out. And he was afraid to offend other people. So he only saw limitations, why things couldn't be done, and he actually tended towards negative thinking, feeling small, thinking small about himself. Top achiever Andy, on the other hand, wants to stand out. He wants to be a top achiever. And he was very positive-minded. You know, when he saw limitations, he wanted to overcome them. With their emotions, the way they dealt with their own emotions, for Average Andy, he had a desire to be accepted and liked by the people around him. And because of that, he was afraid to push boundaries. And because he was afraid of failing, he did nothing. Top achiever Tony, on the other hand, he also had a desire to be liked. And I'll tell you, actually, what was the real motivating factor behind his success. You see, before he was a top achiever, he was just average as well. And then he got dumped by his ex-girlfriend because she thought he was a loser and he wouldn't turn out into anything good. And because that happened, he now insisted that he had to be successful so that he could win the woman of his dreams. He could actually find the kind of love that he was looking for. So you see, both of them had a desire to be liked. Both of them wanted to be accepted. But Average Andy decided to shrink rather than expand. And top achiever Tony, on the other hand, decided that he had to expand and be successful so that he would be accepted and liked. And because he was afraid of looking like a failure in front of other people, he made sure he did all that he needed to do to succeed. So you can see the similarities that makes all the difference as well. Everyone gets what I'm saying? I think this is really important. Now, the next part is the behaviors and actions, which you probably picked up just from watching the people around you. And from my story, Average Andy gave up too easily. When things were difficult, he would give up. He would shrink back into his comfort zone. And top achiever Tony, he persevered. It's not like he didn't experience pain, but he persevered. He welcomed the challenges because he saw those as just another limitation to be overcome. And in fact, he would get bored if he wasn't growing. So the question for you today is, do you think an average person with average results can be a top achiever? Yes, they can. How? They just need to be willing to think differently. Look at the ways that they're thinking and feeling and behaving that are keeping, whether that's really giving you the results that you desire. If your current ways of thinking and feeling are acting are not producing you the results that you want for your life, it's time to question it. It's time to consider changing it. If it's not serving you, it's time to dump it. Okay? Now, I promise